Okay, so let's dive into this new research.
Yeah.
It's called patient-centric summarization of radiology findings using two-step training of large language models.
Okay.
From the December 2024 issue of the ACM Transactions on Computing in Healthcare Journal.
Wow. So, yeah.
Fresh off the press.
Yeah.
What
It's
if?
how to catch.
Yeah, exactly. What if you could get like an MRI or a CT scan and actually understand the report yourself
Right.
without needing to go to medical school?
It's a huge problem that it's
Mhm.
tackling.
Oh, absolutely.
Radiology reports are just notoriously difficult to understand.
Yeah,
And you know what? Less than 4% of them are written at an 8th grade reading level.
that's crazy.
It's wild.
No wonder I feel so lost every time I try to read one.
Right. And it's not just about feeling confused.
Yeah.
It can actually have real consequences for your health.
Oh, absolutely.
If you miss important follow-up appointments because you didn't understand what the report was actually saying.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So what's the solution? This paper is all about using AI, right?
Yeah, the researchers at Mayo Clinic
Okay.
developed a model that uses a special kind of AI called a large language model,
Okay.
which is basically an algorithm that's trained on mountains of data
Yeah.
to understand and summarize medical language.
Okay.
What's really cool is that they've designed it to generate 2 different types of summaries.
Two. Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
All right, so one is a technical summary,
Okay.
still written for medical professionals.
Okay.
You can kind of think of it as like a more concise version of the impressions section
Uh-huh.
you usually see in a radiology report.
Okay.
The other one is a layman's summary,
Okay.
written specifically for patients.
Got it.
It uses clear, everyday language that anyone can understand.
Oh, that's brilliant. So how did they train this AI to do that? Did they like send it to medical school or something?
Well, not exactly,
Uh-huh.
but they did use a really clever 2-step training process. First, they fed the AI a ton of radiology reports,
It makes sense.
focusing on the findings and impression section.
Okay.
This helped it learn the language and style of how radiologists actually write.
Yeah.
It's like learning to speak doctor, but for an AI.
Yeah, like AI doctor.
Exactly.
That makes sense. So how did they teach it to write in plain English for the patient summaries?
Right.
Did they have like doctors sit down and write simplified versions of every single report?
That would be incredibly time-consuming.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Plus, there's always the risk of individual doctors writing things differently.
Oh, that's true.
So instead, they got really creative and they used another AI called Lamama to
Okay.
generate simplified versions of the reports.
Oh, wow.
So essentially, they used one AI to train another.
Okay, now that is seriously cool.
Yeah.
So how do we know those AI-generated summaries were any good?
Right. That's where the human element comes back in.
Okay,
They had both radiologists and laypeople evaluate the summaries
makes sense.
to see how accurate and understandable they actually were.
Okay.
And the results were really quite impressive.
Right.
People who read the layman's summaries
Yeah.
reported a 63% improvement in their understanding
Wow.
compared to reading the original reports.
That's huge.
It's huge. It means they're feeling way more confident
Yeah.
about what's going on with their health.
That's incredible. A 63% improvement, that's a game changer.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can really see how this could empower patients.
absolutely.
But what about the doctors? Did they think the summaries were accurate and useful?
They did. The radiologists were also involved
Okay.
in evaluating both the technical and layman's summaries.
Yeah.
And they confirmed that the model rarely missed any important information.
Okay, good.
It's reassuring to know that patients aren't missing out on key details from
Mhm.
their reports
Yeah,
just because the language is too complex.
exactly. That's a big win for accuracy.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about how this AI stacks up against other language models out there.
Okay.
They mentioned ChatGPT in the paper, right? Isn't that one supposed to be like the king of language AI?
ChatGPT is certainly a powerful tool,
Yeah.
but it's more of a generalist.
Okay.
It's designed to do many things well,
Uh-huh.
but not necessarily any one thing perfectly.
Okay.
What's interesting is that the researchers actually chose to use a smaller model called T5
Mhm.
for their summarization task.
So they went with a specialist instead of a generalist.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And it turns out that smaller can sometimes be better.
Okay.
They found that T5 was easier to fine-tune
Oh.
for this specific task of summarizing medical reports.
Yeah.
It was like giving it specialized training to become a master medical translator.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
But how did this little T5 perform against the mighty ChatGPT? Did it manage to hold its own?
It did more than hold its own.
Really?
It actually outperformed ChatGPT in several key areas.
Wait, really? How is that possible? I thought ChatGPT was supposed to be like the ultimate AI language whiz.
It is incredibly versatile, but as I said before, it's a generalist.
Wait.
This smaller model, T5,
Right.
was specifically trained to summarize medical information.
Yeah.
It was much better at sticking to the facts of the report,
Okay.
avoiding any made-up details
Okay.
or unnecessary information.
So it was more focused and concise. That makes sense, especially when you're dealing with something as important as medical reports.
Exactly.
You don't want the AI like going off on tangents or adding its own interpretations.
Right. Accuracy is paramount in this context.
Yeah.
And when they dug deeper into the evaluation results, another interesting finding emerged.
Yeah.
The radiologists who were reviewing the summaries often disagreed with each other
Right.
on what information should be included in the layman's summary.
I'm surprised by that. I would think there would be a clear consensus on how to explain things simply to patients.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But it highlights the fact that medical communication is more nuanced than we might realize.
Yeah.
Even experienced doctors have different interpretations and approaches to explaining medical findings.
So even with the best intentions, things can get lost in translation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is where AI could play a really valuable role.
Okay.
By learning from a huge data set of reports and summaries, it can help establish a more consistent and standardized approach to patient communication.
Yeah.
It's like having an AI translator,
Oh.
but for medical jargon instead of different languages.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It could really help bridge the communication gap between doctors and patients.
Absolutely.
Let's talk more about how they actually evaluated the summaries.
Sure.
You mentioned they had both radiologists and lay people involved.
Yes, they were very thorough
Okay.
for the layman summaries.
Yeah.
They had people with varying education levels read them and rate their understanding on a scale of 1 to 5.
Okay.
A 5 meant they understood everything perfectly.
So it was like a user-friendliness test.
Exactly. And remember that 63% improvement we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
That was the average across all types of reports they tested. In some cases, the improvement was even more dramatic.
Wow, that's amazing. So people went from feeling totally confused to actually understanding what was going on with their health?
Precisely.
That's incredible.
And that brings us to the evaluation of the technical summaries for the medical professionals.
Okay.
They had 3 experienced radiologists analyze both the technical and layman's summaries.
Makes sense.
Looking for specific things, like missing information, made-up facts, and overall clarity of writing.
So triple check for accuracy and quality.
Exactly.
Okay.
And for the most part, the model performed exceptionally well.
Great.
It rarely missed any crucial information.
Okay.
And it did a good job of sticking to the facts of the report without hallucinating or making things up.
But I thought you said earlier that it sometimes hallucinated details about less common medical conditions.
Right. That's true. There were a few instances where it added details that weren't in the original report, especially when dealing with rarer conditions.
Okay.
It seems the AI, like all of us, learns better with more examples.
So it's still a work in progress, but getting better all the time.
That's the beauty of machine learning.
Yeah.
The more data it's fed, the more it learns and improves.
Well, this is all very encouraging.
Yeah.
It sounds like this technology has the potential to truly revolutionize how we understand and interact with our own medical information.
I think so.
But what about the bigger picture?
Yeah.
What are the long-term implications of all this?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one the researchers themselves grapple with in the paper.
Okay.
They acknowledge that their findings are promising, but there are still challenges to consider as this technology continues to evolve.
Okay, so give it to me straight. What are the potential downsides we need to be aware of?
Well, one concern is the potential for over-reliance on AI. We need to remember that this technology should be seen as a tool to support doctors, not replace them.
Meaning there always needs to be a human in the loop.
Yes.
A doctor who can review the summaries, answer questions, and make sure everything makes sense for each individual patient.
Exactly. The final decision-making and interpretation of medical information should always rest with qualified healthcare professionals.
Right.
The AI can provide valuable insights and make information more accessible, but it's not a substitute for human judgment and expertise.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right balance between the power of technology and the irreplaceable value of human connection in healthcare.
Absolutely.
It sounds like we're on the verge of a pretty big shift in how we understand and interact with our own medical information.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about. what this could mean for patients, you know?
Yeah.
Imagine a future where receiving a medical report isn't a source of stress,
Yeah.
but rather like a clear and empowering piece of information.
That's a future I can definitely get behind.
Yeah.
I'm curious, though, this research focused specifically on radiology reports.
Right.
Can this technology be applied to other types of medical documents?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
The potential applications are vast.
Okay.
Think about discharge summaries,
Oh,
lab results,
yeah.
even genetic testing reports.
Oh, wow.
All of these could be made more accessible and understandable
Yeah.
through this type of AI-powered summarization.
So it's not just about radiology. It's about making all kinds of medical information easier to digest.
Exactly. It's about empowering patients to be active participants
Yeah.
in their own healthcare journeys.
It's a powerful idea.
Yeah,
And it seems like this research is just the tip of the iceberg.
I think so.
We're just starting to explore the possibilities of AI in healthcare.
Yeah, we are. And as we continue down this path, it's important to remember that technology is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool,
Mm.
it can be used for good or for ill.
So we need to be mindful of the ethical implications as we develop and implement these technologies.
Absolutely. We need to ensure that these systems are developed responsibly,
Yeah.
with transparency and accountability at the forefront.
It's like we're navigating uncharted territory.
Yeah,
There's so much potential, but also potential risks that we need to be aware of.
that's a great way to put it. We're pioneers in a sense.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to shape this new frontier in a way that benefits everyone.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of AI and medical communication.
Yeah, it has.
I'm feeling both excited and a bit cautious about the future.
That's a healthy perspective to have.
Yeah.
We need both the enthusiasm to embrace innovation
Uh-huh.
and the wisdom to guide it responsibly.
So what's the takeaway for our listener today? What should they be thinking about as they ponder this new world of AI-powered healthcare?
I'd say the key takeaway is this. We're entering an era where medical information is becoming increasingly accessible and understandable.
Yeah.
This is a tremendous opportunity for patients to take ownership of their health.
Yeah.
But it's also a call to action.
Okay.
We need to be engaged, informed, and thoughtful about how we integrate these powerful technologies into the healthcare system.
We need to make sure that AI serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. It's a collaborative effort between patients, providers, and innovators to create a future where technology empowers us all.
This has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this topic.
It's a big one.
Yeah, if you're interested in learning more, we encourage you to check out the full research paper.
Yeah.
It's titled Patient-Centric Summarization of Radiology Findings Using Two-Step Training of Large Language Models. It's a fascinating read.
It is. And as always, we encourage you to stay curious and stay informed about the ever-evolving landscape of healthcare and technology.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, stay well and keep exploring.